Nia, give us an update on this situation. What has been the response to this unprecedented lockdown?
Prime Minister Modi addressed the nation late last night. He made clear, like you said, that this is crucial. The next 3 weeks could make or break India's fight against COVID-19. He outlined how we're seeing situations play out in Italy and the United States, country that have better, more well-equipped healthcare systems compared to India. And if they were unable to curb a mass breakout, it's imperative that every Indian stays indoors, doesn't come out, to ensure we break the cycle of the infections. One important point to make is when Prime Minister Modi was speaking, he didn't quite clarify whether essential services would fall under the purview of activities allowed during this 3-week period, which is why as soon as he finished speaking, there was a lot of panic. People started queuing up outside grocery stores, trying to stock up in a bid to prepare for a 3-week-long curfew. Just minutes later, he, however, tweeted to clarify, but many are criticizing him for not outlining the fact that essential services will continue to operate in his speech. There are also concerns, many people voicing concerns along the lines of how they've seen police officers preventing any mobility at all. Many retailers who supply to essential services like to grocery stores, to pharmacies, to milk stores, saying that the police teams on the ground who've been tasked with enforcing this curfew are not allowing their teams to even go make deliveries. So a lot of uncertainty here in India right now. The government maintains that no state government should prevent essential services from being carried out to ensure there's no shortage of food supplies and medicines. But on the ground, it's an entirely different story. The police have been given powers to make arrests, to detain people. They're also baton charging anyone who's out and about on the streets. And people say that they're concerned that there could be overzealous police officers who are trying to impose this curfew, but at the same time trying to limit the access that people have to essential services to get by and get through the next 21 days.
And Eva, given these already existing concerns, what is the government going to be doing to ensure restrictions are followed over and above what police are already doing?
It's an interesting mix of responsibilities that the Prime Minister has outlined, because while his government has said that for the next 21 days, the entire country, all 1.3 billion people, except for those who work in essential or emergency services, will have to stay indoors, the onus of implementing this falls on state and regional governments. They've been given the power to make arrests. Anyone who is found flouting these curfew norms, that person could face a jail term from anywhere between 6 months to 2 years. There's also a fine provision. In many states, so we're not seeing arrests happen yet. For example, in the state of Maharashtra, the police, they're largely letting people go with a warning. But in Delhi, for example, in the last 2 days, where we did have a similar lockdown in place, but perhaps not as extensive as the one as the Prime Minister announced last night, the police have made hundreds of arrests. They've detained hundreds of people, saying this should send a message to people that we're serious about imposing and implementing this lockdown. But the other concern, of course, is that not everyone in India can socially distance. Not everyone can afford to self-isolate. For example, the fact that all air, rail and road travel has been effectively stopped overnight means that thousands of migrant workers who work in cities like Delhi and Mumbai are now struggling to find ways to get back to their homes, to actually implement what the Prime Minister said, to stay indoors. The Prime Minister acknowledged that there will be a massive cost to the economy, that the poor will be unfairly impacted by this, but he said this is a cost that the nation needs to bear. It's expected that his government will announce an economic relief package as well. There's talk of a universal basic income being implemented for the poor, so they have some money to sustain themselves. But at the same time, it's important to say that that announcement has not been made yet, and critics are saying that the government needs to do it now rather than later.
Oh, thanks very much indeed for all that information and clarification. Our correspondent Nihar Punya in India there for us.